to this new DIY project. It's been a while actually that I haven't made this kind of tutorial video, but I got this terrarium idea from one of my subscribers and I just loved it. So tonight I'm going to make my very first one, and I've read a lot of information and watched many videos to get started, so I hope it will inspire you. Basically, a terrarium is a tiny garden built in a glass container that will almost be self-sufficient because the closed environment will create some kind of internal water cycle. It's a bit like a very small greenhouse that you can take with you. So let's dive in. To make my terrarium, I will use a glass container. As you can see, I have two big containers here, but you can perfectly create a small one in a mason jar or even a drinking glass if you'd like, as long as you can add a lid on it. I think this container is going to be way too big for a first attempt, so I'm going to be sensible and choose a smaller one. I really like these cork lids. They have a lot of character. I'm going to need a drainage layer at the bottom to prevent the substrate and the plant's roots from sitting in water. So I have two different types of tiny stones. I don't know which one I'm going to use yet. These have no specific quality. And I'm going to use substrate, of course. You can find plenty of recipes on the internet. I will put a few links in the description if you want to learn more about it. I bought this one in a garden center. It is specifically made for terrariums. As you can see, it is much lighter than a classic garden substrate. To create the grass of my tiny garden, I will use moss. I live by a very mossy forest, so there is plenty of it, but you can easily find it in a garden if you can access one, especially if there are stones in it. Just be sure there is enough of it and that you don't take more than what you need. I also picked up a few stones and wood pieces that I found pretty. So I have different kinds. Small ones, much bigger. I like this one. I will use these as decorative items. I also made some tiny doors and windows with a few twigs and a piece of bark. I don't know yet if I will use them or not. So here I have interesting wood pieces, some bark, I selected a few plants that will be perfectly happy in a closed environment. We'll have a look at them later. I also have a few long tools to easily access the inside of the container, but since I can put my entire hand in it, it will make things much easier. First, I'm going to make a rough sketch of what I'd like to do. This is completely optional, of course, but since I'd like to create some kind of hobbit garden, I think a sketch will help me know what I'm doing. Here we go. So, here is my container. So first, the drainage layer, and then the substrate. So here I want to make some kind of tiny hill. Covered with moss. I hope you can see it. So maybe a small door and window. Some stairs to access the door. And on the top of the hill, I would have a tiny tree. And on each side of the stairs, maybe one plant here and another here. A few stones. And moss everywhere. And why not a standing stone here? So it is a rough sketch, but I think you've got the idea. This is clearly inspired by Bilbo's house, but with some kind of rustic fairy vibes. And now I'm going to start with the first layers. So the drainage layer, and for this I'm going to choose the grey stones. This might be a bit noisy. is enough. And now the substrate. So here what we don't want is too much or too little substrate. The plants are going to need a bit of room to grow before they reach the lid, but they will also need enough soil to get nutrients from. So here we go. I think I'm going to use my hand directly. Alright, let's keep going. And now I'm going to gently shape and press the substrate so I can get my heel structure. I'm going to use a piece of cork at the end of a chopstick. And gently press substrate. Alright, I'm going to stop here. Normally this is when I would add the moss and stones before the plants, but since I want some kind of tiny tree here, I will probably start by adding this plant before adding the rest. Just here. So let me show you the plants. So I chose 4 of them. This one is a ficus, ginseng ficus, I guess. It really looks like a tiny tree, but it can grow quite high. I've got one in my living room that is about 2 feet high. So it would definitely need a bit of trimming. This is Edera, simply known as ivy, and I think I could take just a few segments of it and it would easily root. These leaves are beautiful. This is one of my favorites, asparagus. I really like these light leaves. Fluffy. This could also make a nice tiny tree. And this is Hyperstes. Just let me check. Yes. I could take some cuttings from this one. Very easy to propagate with a nice pink color. So I think I'm going to try this ficus for the main plant of my terrarium, hoping it won't be too big. Adding my little tree before the rest will probably allow me to add more substrate around it. Here we go, lad. Yes, I will have to do some trimming after some time, but it looks good. I'm going to add more substrate to cover the woods. Shape. We still see a bit of the roots, but it will be covered with moss. Good. And now it is is supposed to be the best part. I'm going to add the stones, maybe a tiny door, and then the moss, and it will bring the terrarium to life. I'm going to start with stairs up to the hill. So I'm going to use so starting with bigger ones and then smaller and smaller. Let's try. First one. Second. Third. And so on. Maybe one last. Alright. Now let's see one of my little doors. This is the smallest one. And this is very breakable, so I have to be careful. I think it's nice. Let's see with a window. So I have this. Oh. This one. This one might be too big. Let's try this. I'm not sure the window is necessary. I don't know. I really don't know. I might remove it later. We'll see. Alright. So I have different varieties here, but I'm not an expert at all. Yes, I may have 6, 7, maybe 8 different types of moss. I'm not good at identifying mosses. So if one of you knows about them, please feel free to tell us what these are. This could be thread moss or cushion moss. It's very soft with a beautiful green. This is probably silver moss. Much paler, very soft as well. This could possibly be star moss or haircap moss. And this could be, I really don't know, maybe juniper moss. The only one I easily identify is fern moss, but I didn't take any with me. So I'm going to use moss to create the grass of my garden. I'm going to try to not use more than 3 different kinds of moss to keep it beautiful, or it would quickly become a mess. I really like this one. There's a bit of everything here. Alright, let's start. And for this step, I'm going to use these long tweezers and add the moss bit by bit. Trying to not destroy my stairs. Alright. Now let's try a piece of silver moss. Yes, I'm going to remove the window. It won't hold in place. So here I have mainly 2 different types of moss. I may add a third one. Let's see. Maybe this. Why not? Good. Let's keep going. As you can see, there are small gaps here and there. I will fill them later. I'm not sure this door was a great idea, but it's okay, it's the first time. I can make mistakes. Alright, this is a fourth type of moss. But it's quite similar to the other, so it's blending well. Alright. So, should I add a standing stone near the tree? Let's give it a try. So what do I have? This one is nice. Somehow too big and too small, I guess. Yes. This one has a really nice shape, but it might be too small. I must not forget that the moss will grow. Let's try this one. Okay, let's try like this. I'm going to put the last pieces of moss. A small piece of silver moss here by the roots. I will use the other mosses for the second glass container, and I will put what's left back in the forest. This is too big. Let's stick it. Alright. I put too many different kinds of moss, but it's a mess, but it's a pretty mess. Alright, the moss step is over. Now I can add 2 small cuttings on each side of the stairs. And for that, I'm going to use ivy and hibiscus, the pink plant. I wish I could add a bit of this as well, but there's not enough room, obviously. So, alright, I had plenty of roots, so it will easily find its place in the terrarium. And the ivy. Perfect. Let's put them in their new home. One here. And the other on the right side. Yes, that's cute. They shall root very easily. Now let's see if there are some gaps left. Maybe one small here. And that's it. My tiny garden is done. If I had to do this again, I would probably put maybe just 1 or 2 different types of moss, and it would be tidier. But it's alright, it was the first one and I'm quite happy with it. It's cute. So now it is time to water it. And this is a delicate step, as there is a chance I put too much water, so I know I will have to stop before I think this is enough. Let's go. during the first 2 weeks there might be a bit of condensation on the sides, and this is normal. But if there is condensation later, I will probably have to open the container maybe 2 or 3 hours from time to time. Maybe once a week. And from what I've read, I will have to water the terrarium 3 to 4 times a year, but it will entirely depend on the plants and if the substrate is too dry or not. What we really don't want is to have it damp. It would simply kill the plants. And now, final step. I'm going to clean the sides of the container, and for this I will use these long scissors with a piece of tissue at the end of it. Here we go. This is a very satisfying thing to do. Let's make a very small bowl. Perfect. Good. Just a bit on the outside. Perfect. Time to put the lid back on. And now I will find it a spot in my home, trying to avoid the direct sunlight because it would turn the terrarium into an oven. I think I will put it in front of my kitchen window. hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, I wish you a very